Investors, welcome back to Green Money Momentum. We are here for another Sunday Stock Talk. We are here doing the daily live talk of stock that we do every single week. Every single week before the market open, we always do a preparation video. And for this week, I figured I would go live. Last Sunday, I went live just for the fun of it, and there was a ton of engagement from all of you. We had some thought-provoking questions, and overall it was a great stream. So I wanted to come on here this week and do everything we expect to see this upcoming week, but do it live. So first, we're just going to do some technical analysis, take a look at both of the major indexes here on screen. I have the S&P on the left, the SPY, and then on the right, I have the triple Qs, the NASDAQ, and most recently, we have been seeing a lot of resistance in both of the major indexes. We are right at about all-time highs on both, and recently we did just hit an all-time high in the Dow Jones Industrial, but both of these major indexes here are having a hard time breaking through the resistance. And so now we're going to take a look at what the news is looking like and what we could see on the economic calendar and see if we could possibly see a breakthrough through these levels, or if we will continue to just consolidate sideways or even more towards the downside. When we look at the candlestick chart, both are sideways. The RSI is sideways, but we are getting some retraction in the MACD, but we are at a crucial spot here in both of them because we could be seeing a bullish reversal on the MACD. A lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt still in the air right now. We have a reading of fear on the fear and greed index right at 43, so almost levels of neutrality, but still a lot of fear in the markets. And right now I am looking at the VIX. This is the volatility index, and when you do see the VIX have massive spikes, this is when we could see massive drops in the market. So when we do look at the VIX now in terms of technical analysis, we have actually been making some slightly higher lows and lower highs on that index. We have been jumping on the relative strength index and the MACD. So important to watch for the volatility this week and some decent fear in the air, because this weekend we had some more around the tariffs. As I have said before, we are facing the three-headed dragon of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This was a big storyline in 2025. This is the tariffs, the interest rates, and then also inflation. With those three different factors, that does cause a lot of fear in the markets. And so on Friday, we did see the Supreme Court officially rule against the tariffs. There was a 6-3 decision, and Trump was not happy with this. He immediately went live shortly after that and said that he was going to impose 10% tariffs. But then on this Saturday, he said he was going to bump them up to 15%. So let's read this article here. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he will impose global tariffs of 15% as he has continued to rail against a Supreme Court ruling that struck down his previous import taxes. Trump said that on Friday he would replace the tariffs scraped by the court with a 10% levy on all goods coming into the U.S. So with all of this initially talked about on Friday, the markets were very choppy. So it's very interesting because there is a lot of fear around these tariffs, but the markets in general didn't really have too bad of a reaction to everything that was happening, which was kind of surprising to me because I will be completely honest, I did not expect for the Supreme Court to actually rule against the tariffs. And it was pretty crazy that right after that, President Trump came on into the press room and started talking about everything he is going to do, and classic Trump saying that he is still on the board with all of these tariffs. And so continuing with the article here, but on Saturday, he announced on Truth Social that this would be increased to the maximum allowed under a never used law. The law allows these new tariffs to stay in place for around 5 months before the administration must seek congressional approval. So with this tariff situation, if you don't like the tariffs, even with what the Supreme Court has done recently, they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So just keep this in mind in 2026, because there's probably going to be a lot more around the tariffs, and Trump right now fighting back against the Supreme Court and looking to levy even higher tariffs. Now, when we go over to the economic calendar, we do have Fed Fed Governor Christopher Waller speaking on Monday. We have some numbers with the factory orders. On Tuesday, we have some more members of the Fed speaking. On Tuesday, also, we have consumer confidence. But I do believe that the economic calendar is going to be more important towards the end of the week because we have initial jobless claims on Thursday. And then on Friday, we have the inflation for the producers. We have the PPI numbers coming out on Friday. And just this last week, we got the CPE numbers, the Fed's preferred measurement for inflation, and they did tick up a little bit higher than expected. With the jobs market recently, at least how the government is reporting it, we are seeing strong job numbers. And so come Thursday, it's going to be interesting to see if we see another beat when it comes to jobs or if we see a loss here and we see how the markets react to that. Now, when we look at the earnings calendar, we do have a big week for technology. We really have things kicking up on Wednesday as we have NVIDIA reporting their next earnings. And if you have been following the markets over the last year, especially around the technology, AI, and semiconductor side of the markets, you know that NVIDIA is very important. And all of this, the largest company in the world in terms of market cap, currently at 4.6 trillion. But before all of this retraction, we actually saw ourselves go up to a $5 trillion market cap. So there has been incredible gains with NVIDIA. Let's take a look here on NVIDIA in terms of technical analysis. I see we got some viewers in the live now. Narissa Dam, welcome back to the live. You were here. Gosh, I got a little tongue twisted there. You were here last Sunday, so I do appreciate you being here once again. Thank you so much. A friend of mine said he's going all in on gold. We'll talk a little bit about the hard metals here later in this video, but looking at NVIDIA in terms of technical analysis, we recently did just have a bump off the 200-day MA. We are sitting right in the middle on the relative strength index, and then we have been jumping now on the MACD. So we are just slightly pushing up there. So with NVIDIA, it's going to be very interesting to see how their earnings come out on Wednesday. We also have big players such as SoundHound reporting. We have D-Wave Quantum. We have CoreWeave. We also, talking about the hard metals, we have MP Materials reporting. So let's take a look here at MP in terms of technical analysis. But yes, Narissa, thank you so much for coming to the live again. So MP is currently right at the 200-day moving average, and we have been decelerating here on the relative strength index and the MACD. We saw a bearish cross back in January, so going to be very interesting to see how they report. Talking about gold, let's take a look at gold here. With the colors I'm wearing here on my shirt and tie, it was actually kind of centered around the hard metals. I have a silver shirt and a nice copper tie here. But yeah, gold has recently been on a pretty crazy rip. We are well above the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. I will say this when it comes to the hard metals, and for your friend that is going all in on gold, I do hope the best for them with the hard metal sector. It has been very bullish of most recent, but I would always caution against putting your entire portfolio or everything into just one individual play. Now, the ups and downs can be crazy, but right now gold is looking pretty high, not only on the candlestick chart, but also the relative strength index. And then we did just see a bearish cross on the MACD, but gold runs a lot. All the hard metals really run a lot off of what the Federal Reserve is doing. And then also with everything that is happening with the Sell America trade, everybody trying to debase the United States dollars. And so gold, a generally safe asset, but right now is looking a bit oversold. And we have been on a overbought. We have been on a crazy rip up most recently. So it is good to diversify your portfolio and have some hard metals. But again, I would caution against going all in. I'm happy that makes you laugh, Narissa. Again, I thank you for being here. We have Stephanie Diaz saying facts, and I told him that, but he thinks everything is going to crash. Well, if he thinks everything is going to crash, I mean, that could also include the hard metals, right? Especially with how we are looking at in terms of technical analysis. Now, this is just on a gold stock. Let's actually go to the real gold here. Give me a second. Let's go to the gold price. Gold price. So gold is at 5,163. And I mean, for the most part, gold and all the hard metals typically will just go sideways, or most recently, like we have seen, have a crazy rip up. But this is really one of the craziest rips that we have seen in years. And then, Stephanie Diaz, I appreciate you talking about this with the fear bleed in Mexico. That was actually something I was going to address. So thank you for telling me that. But yeah, if you didn't hear recently, some fear, uncertainty, and doubt coming out of Mexico as Mexico's most wanted drug leader El Mencho was killed in a military operation as violent crashes erupt across the country. So things are going wild here in Mexico. We can just see the graphic here. It looks like we got some smoke in the air. And so El Mencho, the powerful and long-pursued head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel and one of the world's most wanted traffickers, died following a Mexican military operation on Sunday, handing the country a consequential victory as it looks to show tangible results to the Trump administration. And so this is really wild what is coming out of Mexico. We have the leader of the cartel being killed, apparently, and with Mexico, you have the corrupt government and you also have the cartel running things. And so I'm sure a lot of things are very fearful in Mexico right now. I mean, just as we could see by these graphics here, it looks like things are going crazy out there. There is a lot of fear in the world right now of war everywhere. Now we are having some tensions within Mexico but also there's a lot about the Iran situation. So United States invading into Iran, a lot of fears around there. And then we still, of course, have Russia and Ukraine, which brings me up to an interesting stock that was mentioned this last time we did a live stream last Sunday. So I wanted to bring this up because one of my viewers, and it might have even been you, Narissa, you might have brought up on this stock. I don't remember who brought it up, but I did do some more research on ONDS, and I think that this is a very interesting stock. So if you don't know what ONDS is, this company has a lot to do with drone technology, and it is still at that spot where it is a small to mid market cap stock with a market value of just 4.51 billion. Now, this comes directly from their site here, and we could see the defense here. And so with the drones, they do work with the United States government, and there is potential for a lot of war in the world, which again, I never wish on anyone. I think that is so unfortunate, everything that is happening across the globe. But on this, a very interesting opportunity, especially with such a small market cap and then with such a high short interest, 25% of the float being shorted. Let's take a look here at ONDS in terms of technical analysis. And so ONDS is at an interesting spot because with a lot of the markets in October, that was the high on many different individual stocks. But with ONDS, we could see that they had a crash with the rest of the markets into November, but things are really looking bullish in the stock as we are actually higher than we were in October with ONDS, which is not to be said with a lot of different individual stocks. Right now, it is at the 50-day moving average. We are right at the middle on the relative strength index. And then it does appear that we may be seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. We recently did see a cross, but we could always have some rejection depending on how the markets open up tomorrow and if it is bleeding or if it is green. But right now, all the technicals are lining up to make this look like a very interesting opportunity, especially with all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the air. I agree that Mexico is definitely going crazy at this moment. I am happy to be out here in Tempe, Arizona. I'm looking out my window here, and it's just like, it's such a beautiful day, such beautiful weather right now, and I'm just so thankful to not be around any tensions or anything crazy like that going on. Will Rich said something about maybe catalysts for Big Bear AI. Well, the same with what I'm saying with ONDS and all the war and fears around that. Well, Big Bear AI is another defense company. This company has the face scan technology. Of course, they are working out in the Panama Canal, and they do work closely with the United States government. Big Bear AI has recently had a decent sell-off now to $3.89. And one thing I don't love to see in terms of technical analysis, we are seeing what could be considered the death cross here. We just saw the 50-day MA drop under the 200-day MA. We are falling on the candlestick chart, and we are now low on the relative relative strength index. And then on the MACD, we could be seeing a bullish cross. So most of the technicals, I like how they look in terms of being oversold, but I don't love to see what could be considered the death cross there on Big Bear AI. I traded with Ondas last week, did well. Yeah. Well, with how that stock chart is looking, great opportunities, especially if you are doing either day trades or swing trading. Stephanie, yes, that is so funny. Yes, silver and gold. Yes, let's take a look here at silver too. We won't look at spot silver, but instead we will do some technical analysis on the iShares Silver Trust. Let's take a look at how that is looking. So recently that did fall slightly under the 50-day MA, but did have a nice green candlestick slightly above the 50-day MA. We did see a hard retraction in silver. We saw a gap down on this play. With gaps, we know they are meant to be filled. So at some point, I do expect for this gap to be filled, but we're right in the middle on the RSI. And then we could potentially be seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. Again, the hard metals have recently been ripping like crazy. And with all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the air right now around war, and then also with the debasement of the currency with what the Federal Reserve may be doing here in the near future. Very bullish for all the hard metals. Metals to pump with Iran war next week. We will see. That is funny. 7K gold by December. That would be fantastic. Hey, right now it's at 5,000. So, we still have a whole year to go. So anything is possible. Narissa says, military hasn't found Nancy Guthrie yet. I wonder what type of drones they are using. So with everything that we've discussed on the economic calendar, with the two main viewers that we have right now, Stephanie Diaz and Narissa, I would be curious, are you bullish or bearish going into this week? Are you bullish or bearish on what we have for the economic calendar? Do you think that the producer price index numbers will print positive? Do you think the initial jobless claims numbers will print positive? Do you think anything on the earnings calendar will be positive for the markets? What do you think about the VIX and where it is? Are you currently bullish or bearish on the markets? I'd be curious to hear your guys' opinion going into this next week. Me personally, things are still a bit choppy. The waters right now are just chopping as they have been over the course of many months now, at least in the major indexes, and then with a lot of technology being shot. So overall, I am still in the gray zone when it comes to my opinion. I am not really bullish or bearish right now. Now, I am bullish in the long term, but for this week, I'm kind of in a spot of wait or see. Usually, I feel that I have more of an opinion, but with everything that is going on right now, things just look a bit uncertain. I'm going to sit back for a while and watch. I feel the exact same way, Narissa. It's kind of just at a spot of uncertainty, and if we know anything about the markets, it is that they hate uncertainty. But overall, I have been buying the dip in many different great plays and opportunities most recently. So overall, I am still very bullish on the markets over the long term, but I don't really know if the short attack is just over yet when it comes to the markets. But we are sitting at an interesting spot on many different individual stocks, because for many stocks, they are at that position where they may be seeing the bullish cross on the MACD, and we may be seeing oversold reversals. Of course, one of my favorite plays that I have been talking about, Robinhood stock, has fallen about 50% from the peak that was back in October. So at one point valued slightly above $150, now down to $75. But we are looking very oversold. Not only have we been beat down on the candlestick chart, we have started to see some recovery on the relative strength index. And then we are at a position where if the markets are green tomorrow, if we do open up green, we could be seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. Again, I have a long-term vision with Robinhood, so I'm holding this stock for the long term, for the future. So I'm not too concerned about the short-term movements, but just trying to look in the short-term movements. I do like what we are seeing in terms of seeing a bullish reversal finally. I noticed that the VIX goes up when everything goes down. People day trade with the VIX. That's absolutely correct. That's why we were looking at the VIX earlier in this stream, because it is the volatility index. And so when the VIX does shoot up like crazy, this is when a lot of stocks get shot pretty hard. And what's interesting about where the VIX is currently is the markets have been seeing some hard retractions, at least around technology, but we haven't seen the craziest of rips in the VIX. So we have been moving up slightly, but we haven't had a major volatile uptick like we saw, going back into April of last year. Let's go back when it was around Liberation Day, because that was absolutely crazy. So look at that right there. That was around Liberation Day. So the VIX is not as high as it was during this time, but those were crazy levels of volatility. There were so many that were fearful during that time of Liberation Day last year. And as I was saying, if you go back to my videos in last year, I was not concerned. And again, I remained with my bullish stance on the market. And for 2025, it did prove some great results, because the markets had what some called as the most hated V recovery of all time, as we just saw assets absolutely rip in 2025 until the most recent fear, uncertainty, and doubt that we have really had since about mid-October. Stephanie Diaz says tax returns are now hitting people. Money, money, money. The money helicopter, as they call it. Yeah, this is supposed to be one of the biggest tax seasons that we have ever seen, with everything that Trump has implemented, with the no tax on tips and then the no tax on overtimes. And so this is supposed to be a very large tax season. And so, yeah, we may see the money helicopter if a lot of people are getting their tax returns and then putting them directly into the markets. Let's take a look here at SoundHound AI, since they do have earnings here later this week. With SoundHound, this is a very interesting play. When we do look at SoundHound in terms of their quarterlies, this company is constantly earning more revenue. So each and every single quarter has been getting better. They have been accelerating there. Now, when it comes to their earnings per share and their debt to cash ratio, SoundHound is still underwater. So they still always do come in with a negative earnings per share. But what's great about this company is they are proving constant results, constantly earning more revenue and picking up more customers. And so generally, the earnings reports that we have been seeing with SoundHound have been very bullish. And we do have their earnings report later this week. And we are right at a major level of support here. We are very low on the relative strength index, and we are a bit flat on the MACD, but we are under the 50-day MA and under the 200-day MA. Now, we did have that death cross back in January, but hopefully we could see some bullish catalysts out of this earnings report, not only with what they report for this last quarter, but also with their future guidance. And now I set up this live stream at this time also because the overnight market does open up here in 10 minutes. And so I'm going to stay on here for probably just about 10 or 15 more minutes. We're going to see the market open up. I am a mobile dog groomer, and getting paid tips without tax makes a huge difference. Well, that is awesome, Narissa. That is a very needed service, and I love animals myself, so that must be an amazing job to go around all day and meet different pups around wherever you're at. And that's great to also have it be mobile grooming, because then you are not tied down to a location. You do not have to pay rent for a big commercial building and all the costs associated with that. So I support that. That is awesome to hear, Narissa, and that is super great to hear that the no tax on tips is making a difference in your life, and you could use it in your own individual life. So yeah, with that money back that you will get, put that money into the markets. Now, never financial advice. I never want to give financial advice, just an opinion that you could grow that money, especially if you put it into some safe and reliable assets, if you do some index funds, something like that. Did SoundHound partner with another company? Well, let's take a look, see if I'll just type in SoundHound here and see if they've recently got a big partnership. But as far as I know, I haven't seen anything with SoundHound in the recent term, but there is always the possibility that something has happened most recently. So partnerships push revenue case. Valuation check. Doesn't look like anything here in the short term has happened, but SoundHound has been partnering with a ton of different companies. They work with a ton of different restaurants. Also, they have their technologies in some automobiles as well. So SoundHound, I'm very bullish on. I do love what they are doing as a company. I love what I am seeing in terms of the customer acquisition with SoundHound, and again, also with their revenue rising. And I am very bullish on the whole technology and AI sector of the market. So there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt with technology, AI, everything around that sector. But myself, I am still remaining bullish, and I do believe that we will see a flip here sometime in the very near future. Stephanie Diaz says, bear on crypto, bull on metal, bull on energy, easy play. I am also very bullish on energy. I do believe we will see some big things with energy in 2026. Let's take a look here at crypto. How did Bitcoin perform this week? Bitcoin still under 70,000, still under this major level of support and resistance at 75,000. When it comes to the candlestick chart on Bitcoin, and a lot of cryptos are closely correlated with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has recently had a hard drop off, but Bitcoin has kind of recovered on the relative strength index. And then we did see a bullish cross on the MACD. But even with that bullish cross, we have really just went sideways with Bitcoin. So I think a lot of assets in general, especially around risk, are really reacting a lot off of the macros, and things have been decently uncertain when it comes to the Federal Reserve. Most recently, the odds of seeing a rate cut at the next meeting on March 18th are basically shot. Right now, a less than 5% projection that we do see the Fed cut here in March. And so with the economic reports that we have later this week on Thursday and Friday, this could help to influence what the Fed will do at the next meeting, but the odds are already very unlikely that the Fed will cut, and most are not expecting another rate cut until we see Jerome Powell get out of office. Wait, I am so dingy. Market is opening in 4 minutes, the overnight market. So, we're just going to see some gap ups and downs. It's going to be here in 7 minutes, 6 o'clock my time. I'm out here in Arizona. Just curious, where are you at, Narissa? And where are you at, Stephanie? Bitcoin goes sub 60 this week. Oh man, that is rough. If we do see sub 60 that this week, that could cause a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I am sure Michael Saylor will not be happy with that happening. Hi, Stephanie. Oh, thank you. That is so kind of you to be, saying hello to the others in chat. Right now, it's just you two. Last week, we had some more engagement, but that's all right. It's Sunday. A lot of people are very busy on Sunday, but I do appreciate both of you being here today and still keeping the live chat going. Happy birthday, Stephanie. Oh, is it your birthday, Stephanie? I didn't know that. Well, hey, happy birthday, Stephanie. All this geo uncertainty will raise the price of our energy. You could bet on that. Thank you. LOL. It's Norris, not Norissa. Oh, that's so funny. Is it Norris? Adam? Oh my gosh. You know what's so funny? I was watching another live streamer and he was saying this. So back in the day with these live streams, it would kind of separate the name. Like if you had, your handle be whatever it is, like mine is Green Money Momentum, all spaced, right? But when you get into these live streams, they make your handle just with the @ symbol and they mush all the name together. And so this whole time, I thought you were Narissa. My bad. That is just because there is no spaces here. I have a little XRP. Well, that is interesting. Let's take a look here in terms of technical analysis with XRP. I know an XRP bull. He has his entire portfolio in XRP. He has some pretty crazy swings towards the ups and the downside. XRP has been in a very nasty downtrend. Okay, so XRP has been in a very nasty downtrend since July. We have dropped on the 200-day MA and the 50-day MA. We did see that death cross back in November, and in the short term, things have been looking very bearish with XRP currently at a price of $1.37. Oh, George, hello. Welcome to the live chat. Great to see you here. If you want to know everything we talked about, just go back through the live. We talked all around the economic calendar. We talked about the Trump tariffs, everything that is happening in Mexico, and just kind of our expectations for this upcoming week in the markets. And so thank you so much for coming to the live, George. We have just been talking about some different individual stocks. Again, we recently went through the economic calendar. And so once we're done here with this live, if you want to just go back and see what my thoughts are with the markets, we discussed that for about the first 20 minutes. And now that you are in here, George, I would just love to know everyone's opinions. If you are here in the live stream, it shows that we have 10 watching. If you want to participate in the comment section, please let me know by just dropping a comment saying either bull or bear. I would be very curious to hear how all of you feel about this upcoming week. Not the long term, not even the rest of this quarter, but I just want to know for this week with everything in the air, are you more optimistic or more fearful? Are you more bull or bear for this week? Again, right now I am in a bit of a gray area with how I feel. LOL, no problem. Hello, George. Again, thank you for welcoming the others here in the live chat. And George, check out ONDS. Yes, we were talking about this earlier, George. Ondas, this is a small market cap stock currently with a value of just 4.51 billion and a significantly high short interest of 25%. This company has some drones and they work with the military, and unlike a lot of different individual stocks in the markets that have been seeing hard retractions really since October, Ondas is kind of the exception to the rule in this situation, as they were lower in October than they were most recently in January. And so things have been looking very bullish with this stock right now, right in the middle of the 50-day MA and well above the 200-day MA. And George, I love that response. I'm a long-term bull on the markets, but I must admit for this week, I'm a little bit uncertain because it's just there's so much in the air right now. On the fear and greed index, we are almost right at about the middle, and we're going to see where the markets are starting at here in about 3 minutes as we see the overnight market open. But I do love the sentiment of being bullish. I have recently bought a lot of great dips on many different great opportunities, and I am overall very bullish on the markets. But in the short term, again, some fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it's very interesting to see how the markets will react to the news that we got this weekend with the tariffs being increased from 10% to 15%. It's very interesting too, because on Friday, all of this fear, uncertainty, and doubt did start, but the markets did not really have too much of a retraction. So they basically went sideways. And so maybe now the markets are finally adjusting to the tariffs. I mean, when we go back in the 2025 leading up to April, there was so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I was not fearful myself. I stuck with the exact same stance all along, that I did believe that the markets weren't going to be, that the tariffs weren't going to be as bad as everyone was expecting. And we did see that throughout the year. We saw many canceled or even rolled back. And so now we are just getting some more fear with the Supreme Court. But I do believe all of this fear will pass. And I do believe for the year, we will finish 2026 very bullish. With tariffs, I am bearish. That is understandable. Again, a lot were very fearful in 2025. As I've said many times, we have the three-headed dragon of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which is inflation, interest rates, and then also the tariffs. Anytime there's really talks around any of those, that can cause the markets to panic just a little bit. Hey, George, Stephanie, thank you for welcoming the others here in live chat. George, why bull? Do people trade tonight? You know, some people do trade in the overnight. Some people trade in the pre-market. I trade during the market hours. There's just more movement during the normal market hours. What I will say about the overnight, it is exciting to see it open, but really the main movements happen right as soon as the markets open. Right when the bell rings, we will typically either see the big drop, the cold plunge to start the day, or that's when we could see the crazy rip. And then sometimes we see another dip from that. But really the most market activity happens in the first 30 minutes of the day. So if you were looking for some crazy volatility, that is the time to really place some trades, but also proceed with that time frame with caution. When it comes to the overnight markets, I personally don't trade, and that is just again because there's more movement during the normal hours, and you could always have some problems with getting filled and whatnot in the overnight, just because of less trading flow going on. All right, so the market's opening up here. Let's take a look on how things are gapping up. Give me just a second here. I'm going to mute myself. Cough here a little bit. Got a dry throat. Got to drink some water. 30 minutes of straight talking. And in terms of what station do I watch, are you just talking in terms of like the markets? Like what am I watching to see the overnight markets? Because I personally use Robinhood, and we did just see the gaps happen. So let's take a look here, and let's see where everything is moving. Let's see how the SPY has opened up here. So both the SPY and the triple Qs are down currently, some hard retractions, but again, this is just the overnight market open. We could see great shifts by the time the actual market does open here in the morning session for Monday. Yeah, so this could cause some fear, uncertainty, and doubt for some. Look at that. That is a bleed right here. The SPY back down to 685, the triple Qs down to 603. But yeah, Narissa, you could just go on Robinhood. You don't have to go on Robinhood. You could go anywhere that has access to the markets. You could also look at all these different prices on Google. You could see where things are gapping, but we have started out the market session right now with an overnight gap down. What is interesting here on the triple Qs, we do have a big long wick towards the downside. I could see a lot of this getting filled up before we actually start trading on Monday, or by the time Monday does start. Let's take a look here at one of the favorites on this channel, Robinhood. Let's see how Robinhood has opened up. Robinhood now at 75.19. I think we've had a gap down on that. Okay, so we've had a gap down on that as well, but fighting right here. We do have this long wick down, but the bulls may still take control. We never do know where this candle may finish. Gotcha. I have Fidelity. Fidelity is a great option. We have Fidelity, we have Robinhood, we have Moomoo, we have Webull. There are so many different trading platforms that you can use. Is there any stock that anybody wants me to look at that is just either gapped up or down? Let's take a look at Quantum. Let's see how QBTS has started. The markets usually move in decent correlation, so of no surprise here that QBTS has also had a drop here at a major level of support here. Let's take a look at the long-term technicals with QBTS. We slightly did just recently cross under the 200-day MA. And then in terms of technical analysis, there is the rising level of support and resistance with QBTS. Let's see if the markets could still be bullish tomorrow, or if we will get a very bearish day and we will finally break. Unfortunately, I wouldn't want to see it in QBTS, but if we see a drop down D wave, yep, that is correct. D wave Quantum QBTS. Well, that was exciting. I thank everybody for being here today. I don't know if there's anything anyone else wants to discuss before I get off the live here. But that basically wraps up everything I had for our weekly preparation for this week in the stock market. Again, right now, I'm a bit in the gray zone, just like my shirt here. I'm a bit in the gray. I don't really feel too bullish or bearish. I'm just kind of in a wait and see approach, but I am a long-term bull on the market. So I have recently bought the dip on many different great plays and opportunities, but always with proper risk management. So again, just like your friend Norris, who threw all his money into the hard metal of gold, I'm not saying it's the worst idea out there, but again, I would not bet the whole farm on just one asset. So I have been buying along the way, but still remaining cautious, especially with all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt we have in the air. But let's visit real quick the psychology of a stock market chart, because I do believe that that is important to look at right now with everything that we are seeing in the markets, because there is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the air. And it's just important to remember that the markets do move in cycles. Things are most exciting when things are very bullish, but we do move in cycles. And I would say we are well past that stage of euphoria at this point. I do believe that we have dropped well below complacency. We have seen many stocks drop by 20 to 50%, including a lot of technology and then also the cryptos. I do believe we have gotten through an anxiety, and now we are either, in my opinion, at either panic or capitulation, possibly getting closer to anger and getting ready for that next market cycle. And the next really bullish run may start as we get closer to May and we get the new federal chairman in office. And so right now, I do believe that we are at levels here somewhere between panicked, capitulation, anger. I don't know if we are quite yet to depression. I do believe that we are kind of in those levels, possibly. Again, the markets have been very flat for many months, so we may be closer to depression. But overall, wherever we're at, whether we're near capitulation, anger, depression, I do believe that we are getting closer to disbelief, hope, optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria, and so on and so on. Rigetti and IonQ, that's a good suggestion. Let's take a look. Again, thank you so much for all the engagement in the comment section today, Norris. I really do appreciate it. You know, as I've said so many times with this channel, I do this out of pure passion. I do this for the community and for a trading journal for myself, just to help with my knowledge and stay in tune with the markets. But I really do enjoy connecting with the audience. And so anytime you guys participate in these live streams, or you do participate in the comment section of my normal videos, I really do greatly appreciate this, and I have so much fun with this. So taking a look at Rigetti, it's the exact same as QBTS. The quantum sector is extremely correlated. We have seen a gap down in Rigetti, but we are seeing the bulls possibly take control. So I'm sure the wick was a lot more down at one point, just like the rest of the markets, how they opened up, but we are seeing the bulls take control here. But again, this is just in the overnight market, and we are just looking at 8 minutes of time. This is really nothing, considering the markets really should have the most movement again in the first 30 minutes of the day. Let's take a look at how the major indexes are, see if those have had any change up. So no, it stayed red for that big candle, and now we have seen the next candle open up there. The Lord of Swords, thank you so much for being here in the live stream today. Thank you, he says, and I say thank you back to the Lord of Swords. I greatly appreciate you being here in this live stream today. Break a leg this week, guys. Well, in a positive sense. Do not go break a leg out there in a bad way. But I know what you're saying, Norris, in terms of being like a show performer. I think that is a very weird saying, to be honest. Go out there and break a leg before you go do some type of showcase performance. That is just funny how that has become a saying with time. I would love to know the origins of that and how that came to be. Tell him to hold long on the gold safe bet. Yeah, you know, if you are going to put all your money into one asset, which I don't recommend, again, I always recommend having proper risk management, never blowing yourself up from just one trade. But when it comes to the hard metals, it is generally safer than some other things. But again, I will say the same thing as I was saying earlier when it comes to gold. Overall, things, I want to get the real gold here, not gold.com. Let's take a look here at the gold futures. Things overall are looking very bullish in the hard metal sector, but we have jumped very high on these hard metals. But we have had a retraction now. We are starting to possibly move up on the relative strength index, and then we may be seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. So again, not the worst bet to place out there, but there is always the chance that we get a rejection, but we'll just have to see. They're going to pump more money into this market, inflate the dollar to oblivion. Gold will run. Well, I can't disagree agree with that. And one of my theses on this channel that I talk about very often, I talk a lot about technology and small caps because I do believe that those are going to have tremendous runs with quantitative easing and the larger cycle that I believe that we will go into, especially once we get the new federal chairman, Kevin Warsh, taking Jerome Powell's place. And so when that does happen, if we do see QE, if we do see Kevin Warsh do exactly what Donald Trump wants him to do, then we could see some infinite QE and see a massive run up. And give me just a second here. And give me just a second here. I just had a friend text me. I'm going to tell him, hey, show up to the live stream. We probably only have a few more minutes here. But anyway, I appreciate every single one of you who have came to the live today. Again, I appreciate all the engagement, everybody who has been commenting and participating in this live chat here. Again, I have so much fun doing this. Last week, we did the first live we had done in quite a while, and it was a great time. You know, I did it just as a test. So I came on here last Sunday to just test my software. I planned on being on here for just 5 minutes, and then I ended up being live for about 2 hours, and that is just because of the comments section. We talked about so many different things. We talked about these investments here on screen, and then also a ton of different books. And somebody who was here last week, they're not here this week, but a very loyal subscriber, they were asking about some top books that I have read. And so I want to bring another book here on screen. Let me just go grab it really quick. But they were talking about great investing books, and I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, oh, there's one more great book I recommend everybody should read. So give me just 1 second. Stay in the live, everybody. Right now there is 10 live viewers. I hope to see 10 when we come back. I'm going to come back with some great books for all of you. So give me just one moment. Also, I'm going to show you a really cool piece of green money momentum merchandise. I think you're all going to really like it. So give me 1 second. Hang out during the little bit of a commercial break here. I will be right back. We now got okay. We got back to 10. Somebody left for just a second, but guys, I will be right back. Give me literally just a moment. This is a green money commercial break. Green Money family, you guys all stayed. Thank you so much. I had 10 when I left. Now we have 11 viewers in the live chat. Heck yes, everybody. That is awesome. So I brought a few different books here, and there was another book I'm looking for, but I can't find. What is this book right here? Oh, yes. Okay. I found at least one of the books I wanted to read. By the way, the recent thing that I have been reading, I think this is an interesting read for everybody. It's called Generation Desperation. And this story is all about a gentleman who unfortunately lost a ton of money, but first he made a ton of money. And it was in very speculative things such as options contracts and small caps and everything like that. But this guy turned, I don't know what it was, like 10,000 into 1.2 million, but then lost all of it because of how he was so addicted to risk. So just a very good book, Generation Desperation. But I love this book right here too. It is Retire Young, Retire Rich by Robert Kiyosaki. If you've ever read anything of Robert Kiyosaki's, he has tremendous books. And that book is talking all about leverage. So Retire Young, Retire Rich is talking about how leverage could better your life. Generation Desperation is talking about how too much leverage or over leveraging yourself could actually ruin your life. So I was going to grab a macroeconomics book, but I can't. Oh my gosh, here it is, everybody. I thought I wasn't going to be able to find it. Well, here it is. I actually did find it. So the book I was looking for, just if anyone's ever looking to expand their knowledge with macros, you can go online. They teach this at some college courses. Macroeconomics for Today by Irvin B. Tucker. So a macroeconomics book. I read this book. This is the macroeconomics book they teach to some college kids. Very great book. Talks all about supply and demand. Talks a bit about money printing. We've been talking about money printing on this stream today and the Federal Reserve and everything like that. And so if you want to know more about money printing and how the Federal Reserve really is, they're not really federal or a reserve, which is so funny, but how they operate. Check out that macroeconomics book. Also, fake money, or fake it is. This talks a lot about quantitative easing, how the Federal Reserve is always printing money. And if you are able to position yourself in assets with everything the Federal Reserve is doing, you could really expand yourself, because the money printer is always roaring. And despite the Federal Reserve most recently saying that they are possibly going to go do QT again, we saw this at the last minute of Fed's meeting. I don't believe that they're going to do any QT anytime soon. I do believe that we will see even more QE in 2026, especially when we do see Kevin as the head chairman. There's also this: if you are bearish on the markets currently, or if you want to make some extra money, William O'Neill, a legend in the stock market, How to Make Money Selling Stocks Short. And that is a shorting book. The last one here is Options as a Strategic Investment. I love this book right here. I learned a ton. This is actually the study guide. The book is a lot thicker, but the study guide is great. Then you can learn all about options and have a great study guide with it. What happened to George? Well, hey, he may still be here. George is a great subscriber of mine. I know he's been with the channel for a long time. He even once emailed me. So George, whether you are here or not, I always really do appreciate your support. So if you're still here, thank you for being here today. I greatly appreciate you. Same as everybody else who is here, even if they are not commenting. I appreciate all the viewership today and just everybody supporting this channel. When it comes to Green Money Momentum, this is truly a dream come true. So I absolutely love doing this. As you could tell, I love talking and flapping my gums, right? And so to come on here on screen and have a live audience that wants to just watch me, or the ones like you, Norris, who are participating in the live chat, I just greatly appreciate everybody who is here today. Can you check out Data Vault? Is that another stock here? It's funny. At first, I thought that was going to be DeWalt, like the drills. Data Vault AI. Okay, so another AI play here. Whoa, a penny stock at just 71 cents. Well, I could say this just firsthand. Oh my gosh, is this the right stock price here? Well, I could say this firsthand. If this is really what the price is here at 71 cents, and at one point it was as high as, this is telling me, my gosh, this was telling me 1 million. I'm going to have to go over to Google to confirm here. But what it looks like here is we have seen some significant dilution in Data Vault AI. Let's see. So let's take a look here at the 5 chart. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to say, without even knowing anything that this company is doing, even with AI in their name, this does not make me bullish. To me, this is way too far on the side of speculation. I do like speculation. I do like small caps, but one thing that really kills stocks, Norris, more than anything is significant dilution. And I can just say, with how this price looks here, I'm sure there has been a lot of dilution. So to me, when I see a stock like that and I see such a drop, I mean, no matter basically what time you invested into this, there's been some short mini pumps and dumps, but for the most part, this thing has just fallen off a cliff, and I really don't see any hope with this, even with the low price of 73 cents. I mean, at one point, if the shares before all the dilution, can really be this high, this means there's had to be crazy dilution along the way. And so just like this says, it has faced significant stock price pressure, falling from highs near 3 to around 70 to 80 cents. Big share dilution here, a 15 million share offering. Large stocks were offloaded. So yeah, it looks like there's just been a decent amount of dilution. They've had to do some things around the stock. To me, you know, to me, this is way too risky, especially being a penny stock. And again, even like looking at short-term technical analysis, I understand there has been a bump here in the short term, but investors may be very enthusiastic right at this point. But even if you got in here, I mean, it's not much higher than it was at that point, and that is with all the risk that you are holding with this. Because I mean, you just go back to different certain times in this stock's history, and it had big pumps and dumps, and eventually even lost that value. So when I was very young, when I first started with the stock market, I would get very excited looking at plays such as this, thinking, oh my gosh, $1 million, this is only 70 cents. You know, I can put a certain amount of money into this and make a lot of money, but you know, it's really just a lot of dilution. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, again, I don't really know anything about this company, but I would not be surprised if eventually we do see this get delisted off of the markets. That is always a possibility with how it is looking currently. Let's go back to the live chat. Zip trader guy Charlie raved out DeWalt. So he was talking about data. It's funny. I keep wanting to say DeWalt, like DeWalt drill. But yeah, I guess if he talked about this, you know, when it comes to big YouTubers, again, I'm just a small YouTuber myself. I'm just doing this for passion, for the fun of it. But, you know, always be wary that some of these big YouTubers could possibly be paid by these companies to talk about their stocks. It's funny, even myself with only 2,000 subscribers, I have actually been reached out to by some companies. They wanted me to talk about their stocks, but myself, I am not paid out by any means. So I am always just talking about what I actually have preferences in and what I am currently investing into. And that is never with financial advice, but just always my opinion. Now, I don't want to say that Charlie is necessarily doing that. Maybe he is very bullish on the stock, but again, with this crazy dilution, it's just not something that I personally want to throw my money into. Instead of a money printer, I look at that company, the Data Vault, being as a money vacuum. And even if it does print some money, to me, it is not worth the risk, because I would feel very uncertain if it did start to go up. I would feel that I need to sell it. And I do believe in a stock like Data Vault and these companies that have been beat down significantly, you know, in the recent term. Beyond Meat is a good example with these types of companies. With the type of dilution that they have had, I believe that a lot of investors will get into these plays just because they want to see a massive return on investment, because the stock price was valued so much higher in the past. They think that just because they are investing when it is beat down, they could see massive returns, 10x, 20x, 100x returns, which I am not saying is impossible. Anything is possible with the markets. But if you are looking for huge returns, at least again, in my opinion, I feel that going towards options contracts is the way to go. You could see massive returns by just doing bullish calls. I have seen investments go up by 100%, 200%, 500%, and the most I have ever seen is a 1,200% return on investment. That was with some bullish option contracts on SoundHound. That was last year. And so I like plays with volatility. I like the small cap sector. I like these plays that are in the small cap sector, but have also proven real results. Again, I don't know what that other company, Data Vault, is doing, but SoundHound, for example, a ton of volatility with this stock. And like, for example, with this crazy rip up here. So my options contract, I had bought it, I believe, like back in November, right? Because we had these levels of support and resistance with SoundHound. Right now, it looks like nothing compared to how the stock is now. But back then, there were levels of resistance right around $4 to $7. Funny enough, again, where we are exactly at right now. But I bought right around 4 to 7, and then we started to see this crazy rip up, and that options contract did return up to 1,200% ROI. Art Von Hagen 2380, I like that name there, says, any chance there is an Applied Digital comeback? Well, let's take a look here at Applied Digital in terms of technical analysis. And myself, I am a fan of Applied Digital, so I have been doing some swing trading with Applied Digital, and I do believe that in the long term, Applied Digital is going to have a very big future. Now, here in the short term, a lot of stocks have been having some hard issues, especially with the companies that aren't quite in the net positive when it comes to cash. So Applied Digital is a pre-revenue company, but what I love with they're pre-profitable, so they're not quite at a range where they actually have a positive EPS. So let's take a look here at the EPS. So they typically come in with some negative numbers, right? This last quarterly came in right at 0. They do have a small market cap, and they have been producing great quarterlies when it comes to revenue, but with what they are doing, it does cost a lot of spend. So there is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt here in the short term. A lot of it sparked by Michael Burry of this big AI bubble, and so many are so fearful about the spend up front when it comes to all of this AI. And so Applied Digital, of course, with all of these data centers, there is a lot of fear around that right now. And so Applied Digital has been chopping back and forth. But overall, to me, the candlestick chart still looks very bullish. I mean, when we do look at the October highs, Applied Digital actually did reach back to that in January. So some stocks haven't quite reached back to where they were in October, but Applied Digital did see some hyper bullish momentum there for some time, did get rejected at that major level of resistance right around that $40 range. Now we have started to chop a bit sideways. I don't absolutely love the technicals here with the RSI. We are descending there, and then same on the MACD. But again, this week we do have NVIDIA reporting earnings, and this will help if they do come out with great quarterlies. This will help for the entire technology and AI sector of the markets potentially, right? With earnings reports, they are always a bit unpredictable, but if NVIDIA does come out with great quarterlies and either meets or beats expectations and still has positive guidance going forward, this should be very bullish for the entire sector. Now, that is with a longer term thought. I'm talking, if NVIDIA comes out with great quarterlies and great guidance in the short term, we could still see a drop in price. We have seen so many times when it comes to earnings where these companies do come out with a great quarterly and we still see the stock price drop. But if they do still produce results as they have been, this will be great for the whole sector. And I do believe eventually we will get out of this fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And for a long-term hold with Applied Digital, I could definitely see the stock going a lot further in the future. Right now, with a market cap of 8.1 billion, but they are building out not all of them, but a lot of these data centers for all this AI and everything that we are seeing for the future. So this is absolutely huge for everything going forward. And I do believe that Applied Digital has a lot of real value. So in the short term, unpredictable, Applied Digital could potentially drop some more, slightly under the 50-day MA. But overall, I am very bullish on this company for the long term. And this may sound crazy, but I really do believe, especially if we see a lot of quantitative easing and we really see the money helicopter come out, I do believe that someday Applied Digital could be valued at $100 plus. So Applied Digital has looked very bullish here in the short term. And even with the recent blood that we've seen in the markets, I mean, you go back to October and then to now, still not too crazy. So overall, there still is ascension in this stock. We still do have a rising support on Applied Digital. So, if I were to answer this question with one word, bull. Sweet, yay, hello, art, woot, 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 woot. I'm still here, George. Great to still see you here. George, he's getting a book. I like Charlie's Energy. Oh, wow. That must have been a long time ago if I was getting a book when you guys were talking. I'm a little bit back here on the live chat. I like Charlie's Energy, but Charlito, yep. Why does he wear the checkered shirt all the time? I got to say, when it comes to Charlie with Zip Trader, last time we were on here on live last week, we were looking at some other traders on YouTube. We're going to do that once again. Let's go take a look over at Zip Trader. What I will say with Zip Trader, again, he is a massive YouTuber. So, just with everything, anybody that you were listening to on YouTube, one of my 6 golden rules when it comes to trading is to not trust anybody on Wall Street. Don't even trust yourself. You better have some proper risk management. And I even say that with me. I want to come off as a trustworthy guy for all of you, but still always do your due diligence. Even if you like my opinion, do some deeper research on your own opinion. Always go out with everything with speculation. Always formulate your own true thoughts. So, one of those rules on Wall Street is to never trust anyone. He is a large YouTuber. He could always be pumping stocks that companies are promoting to him. But overall, again, that is just speculation. That is my speculative mindset, right? I think that with everything. Even if I hear a certain opinion, I always want to, fact check it myself. But what I will say about Zip Trader, when I did start on my investing journey about 10 years ago, a lot of great things to say around this gentleman, Zip Trader, right here, because, I watched a lot of his videos, and it did inform me on the markets. I was educated through a lot of his free content, and I watched a lot of his day trading videos and kind of his thoughts on technical analysis. And here, 10 years later, I still think about what he had to say, and still very valuable knowledge. I'm always talking about the candlestick chart and the MACD and the relative strength index. Well, when it comes to technical analysis, it was really Zip Trader who got my mind in terms of technical analysis, thinking about that type of stuff and researching the technicals. So when it comes to Zip Trader, I haven't really watched him in a long time now, but overall, I will say I did like his content in the past, and overall, he does come off as an outstanding gentleman. So I am a fan of Zip Trader, and again, he has a lot of great info, especially when it comes to trading. So here we got the tutorials and all of that with Zip Trader. Let's see, who are some other stock market video people? Who are some other content creators? I'm just trying to think. We talked about Dylan with Money last week. We talked about Tesla Groupie. I think they both have great content. I've been watching Dylan with Money for a long time. Another stand-up gentleman. I hope to one day invite Dylan with Money to my wedding. Gosh, what is this guy's name? I have it on the tip of my tongue. There's another guy I want to mention. Money Vest. Yes, this guy is another very intelligent YouTuber. So if you're looking for someone else that provides great knowledge, I suggest going over to MoneyVest. Also a large channel with 110,000 subscribers. But what I love about this gentleman, he does, sell some courses and whatnot, but he comes out with free information every day and a lot of great information. He does some technical and fundamental analysis, and he goes really deep into things. And so this guy is a full-time trader here, another great YouTuber. So that's our YouTuber shout-outs for the day. Zip Trader and MoneyVest. Go check him out. Zip Trader raved about Data Vault. Again, in the short term, I don't see it. We all have different opinions. I suggest doing some more research on Data Vault. Let's just take a look here. I don't even know what the market cap is on Data Vault, but this is one that I look at the stock chart, I look at what the dilution history looks like, and I am not a fan of that. Currently, it is more in the micro cap sector, so under 500 million. We do cover some stocks that have some very small market caps, such as Rich Tech Robotics right now, with a just slightly higher market cap than Data Vault. But what I love with Rich Tech, they have had some dilution, unfortunately. But if you look at their dilution and their stock chart, nothing similar to what Data Vault is looking like. Of course, thank you. I appreciate you being here today. And I just got to think about storage on my computer. Give me a second here, guys. I'm going to delete a few things if I have anything, because I would hate if this stream got compromised because of lack of data here. I'm always making these videos, and I'm always doing videos for my other YouTube channel as well. So what ends up happening is my computer gets crammed with data. So I just don't want to lose you guys from a technical glitch here. So just give me just 1 second as I empty the trash here. Let's see if I can get some gigabytes on my computer. Again, thank you to everybody who is here today. I absolutely love doing this. This is one of my favorite things in the world. It is just so much fun for me. I love talking about stocks. Almost all of my friends that I talk to, that's what we're always talking about, is stocks, options, contracts, finance. And so I really started this channel just because I can't shut up about finance. And so I'm still a small creator, but to have 14 people here, I feel absolutely blessed, and it makes my heart very happy. So thank you to everybody who is watching today. This is so much fun. What about RLY? What is RLY? RLY, State Street Multi-Asset Real Return ETF. So is this a real estate, like a REIT? Is this a REIT here, a real return? We'll talk about this one maybe on the next live stream. So you have been here for the last two live streams, Norris, and I'll write that down. We'll talk about that in the next one. I probably only got, maybe 20 more minutes here. But again, I appreciate all the engagement. I'm always trying to get all through the comments here. You guys are keeping me busy. I love it. So thank you so much for all the engagement you've shown today, Norris, and everybody else who is here today. When do you all think Applied Digital can get past the NVIDIA sale, AMD grab some better headlines? Well, only time will tell. I do believe, again, that things are still looking very bullish with Applied Digital. I am not too concerned about anything here in the short term. I am very bullish for the whole semiconductor side of the market. So Applied Digital and Advanced Micro Devices. AMD is another stock that I talk a lot about here on this channel, and I am very bullish on Advanced Micro Devices, which now has slightly dropped under the $200 mark. We have seen, like a lot of the markets have now went down to start here in the overnight session. We do see that AMD is also down. In terms of technical analysis, we are still staying strong with AMD. So what has really impressed me with AMD here in the short term is since October, there has been a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the markets around the AI sector, especially around OpenAI, right? And so AMD had a massive gap up when they had the big deal announced with OpenAI. And despite all the fears and liquidity issues we have been seeing in the markets most recently, AMD is still trading sideways, still above this massive gap that was created all the way back at October before all of the real fear started to kick off. And so very interesting where AMD is sitting at. The 200-day MA has also been jumping there, and we still are very far from anything that could be considered a death cross on the MACD. We have been descending there, and I do believe that we could eventually be seeing a bullish cross, but there is still some time for that to turn around. On the relative strength index, we are at 39. So AMD is sitting at an interesting spot. It's going to be very interesting to see if AMD does end up filling this gap, because gaps are typically meant to be filled in the markets. But again, what has really impressed me with Advanced Micro Devices is they have held very strong right above this gap. So just because gaps are usually meant to be filled doesn't mean that they can't be left behind, and we can't eventually jump higher on Advanced Micro Devices. But I could also see us dropping down to the 200-day MA and possibly filling this gap. So again, only time will tell, and the overall sentiment and the macros in the market. You demand Norris. Sorry again for calling you Norissa all of last stream and then this stream for the very beginning. BBAI bottom. Now, it's very hard to say if BBAI has bottomed. Let's take a look here at Big Bear AI. Once again, very hard to say if Big Bear AI has bottomed. Big Bear AI has gapped slightly lower to start the trading session, but really not by much. Almost break even here, slightly under the $4 mark. But right now, we have been seeing some bleeding in Big Bear AI. And unfortunately, in terms of technical analysis, we could be dropping some more. So there is always the case scenario where we do potentially see more of a falling knife on BBAI. So what I would say is just proceed with some caution. But I am a long-term bull on the Big Bear. And I right here where I have the greens highlighted, this is personally where I've bought a lot of my Big Bear for 2027 and beyond. So I do believe that we will eventually return back to the $4 mark, $5 mark, and beyond. I do believe there is a lot of real value with the Big Bear, but here in the short term, we have been seeing some bleeding, but nothing against the Big Bear particularly. Actually, Big Bear did hold pretty strong in a sideways channel for quite some time, but the markets in general have been pretty rough. And so I do believe in general, the markets, no matter what stock that we are talking about here, more than the individual stocks themselves, I do believe that it's going to be the macros that really get the markets moving. And so Big Bear AI guy right with all of that. With Big Bear, we also do have their next earnings report. Let's take a look here. I know it's here very soon. I believe it's in March. So their next one is in 8 days at the beginning of March. For the expectations, nothing really different when it comes to the Big Bear. Another flat quarter expected, with Big Bear slightly under that $2 billion on the market cap. But I am very bullish for Big Bear for the long term. And there is always the chance that with all the geopolitical tensions that we are seeing with Iran and all that, that we do see a bump when it comes to defense, not just defense spending, but also with the price action when it comes to all of these defensive stocks, which I would say Big Bear is a decent defensive play, especially because they are out in the Panama Canal and they are a big government organization, expanding most recently with their big Ask Sage acquisition. And that is why I am here. Thank you, Green Money Momentum. Well, thank you, George. You have been a big follower of the channel for a long time. I believe you've been even following me since 2024, so more than a year now. I really greatly appreciate all of your support and everybody else who is here decently consistent. You know, whether you just, watch a video here and there and drop by every once in a while, or whether you watch every single one of my videos, it's all of you that keep me motivated to continue to do this. I really love doing this, and I have a very long-term vision when it comes to Green Money Momentum. I want to expand even further, doing more live streams with Green Money Momentum and so much more. So eventually here, sometime in the very near future, I want to do some live day trading, and I am really looking forward to that. And so with today's live stream, again, thank you all so much for being here. We have 12 in the 12. Ooh, I need to plug in my computer too. Again, I don't want to lose you guys on a technical issue, right? I have a low battery now, but I have 12 of you in here, and it's so cool how this has gone, because I've done a couple live streams in the past for some earnings reports and whatnot. But last Sunday, I decided to do a live stream just for the fun of it. There was a ton of engagement, just like today, and this is just so much fun. So from now on going forward, I plan on doing most of my weekly preparation videos, everything we could expect to see the upcoming week in the stock market. I plan on live streaming them like I have here today. So thank you to everybody who has participated. Applied Digital Art rocks. Oh, that reminds me. Okay. Quick commercial break. I told you guys I have a great Green Money Momentum prop. I really want to showcase that off to all of you. I was just showing some books, but I forgot to grab that awesome prop. So I showcased it in just one video, but I want to showcase it for all of you here. So this is an awesome piece of Green Money Momentum memorabilia. Just wait out for a second, everybody. I will be back in just a moment. This is another Green Money Momentum commercial break. And look at that, everybody. This is the Green Money Momentum Championship belt. So I got this for my birthday last year from my brother. Amazing gift right here. Look at this. It is a belt all dedicated to Green Money Momentum and YouTube. So we got the YouTube logo on that side. We got some money on that side. And then we got the bull and the bear fighting in the middle. Market Masters, Green Money Momentum, a truly really great gift. And when the markets start pumping some more, you guys will see the beautiful championship belt come out here in the near future more often. But in the short term, there just hasn't been a ton for the Bears to celebrate. Well, myself, I've been celebrating by buying the dips with a long-term vision, knowing that the markets will pump in the future, but haven't had the chance to really show this off too much just yet. XRP free fall. Well, Stephanie Diaz, I sure hope not, because I do have a friend who has a ton of XRP. He has his whole portfolio in XRP. He is a He is a long-term investor with XRP. With XRP, there's been a lot of dilution in XRP, unfortunately. So I do hope that XRP can run to previous levels. I know many are bullish on it online, but honestly, I sometimes wonder if Brad Garlinghose is a criminal. And I really don't like how much XRP he has released out into circulation. And so XRP has been a falling knife. And just talking about YouTube, I will say this, when it comes to XRP, something that I really don't like is there are so many YouTubers out there that will just endlessly pump XRP with no talk of the downside. On this channel, I try to always present both sides of the coin for everybody. That's why I always say to have proper risk management. Never put yourself in a spot where you're going to feel emotionally compromised or destroy yourself from just one individual trading decision. I try to talk about stocks in both the bullish side and the bearish side, but with XRP, they have done so much dilution, and I just don't love how many YouTubers are out there just endlessly pumping XRP like there's no downside and putting these crazy price targets out there saying XRP is going to reach this, this price by this date just because, and then it just so often is disappointing for XRP investors. And so again, XRP has been on a very nasty downslide going all the way back to July of last year, but that has been all cryptocurrency, so it's not just particularly XRP. And I will say this about XRP again, when it comes to cryptocurrency, personally, I am more of a fan of Bitcoin, and that is just because of the actual fundamentals. With Bitcoin only ever going to be 21 million created. With XRP, I think there is trillions, and they continue to dump more onto the markets constantly. But with XRP, it is actually looking a bit oversold now. It is under some major levels of support, so like around 150 sits at a major level of support. We have dropped on the RSI, and then on the MACD, a lot of flat movement, but it did appear that we did see a bullish cross most recently, but we could be having a bearish cross once again. The thing about XRP, so let's just go over to CoinGecko here. This is what gets me about XRP. So with XRP, some are super bullish, thinking that it is going to, well, look at those gaps down in cryptocurrency, that it's going to, be the everything. The thing is, it's already at such a high market cap. And when you look at where it is to Bitcoin, and there's some type of comparison here. So if you were to compare the market caps, let's see, let's do a market cap comparison. If you were to compare them and you were to put XRP where Bitcoin is, it's absolutely crazy. So let's see, market cap comparison. Done this before. It's just been a while. I usually do my analysis now just on stocks. What did I used to do it on? Oh, okay, here we go. It is on CoinGecko. So compare cryptocurrencies. So let's choose Bitcoin on number one here, and let's choose XRP here. So XRP with a market cap of Bitcoin is at 21.27. So that's not crazy unreasonable to think about that. But like some people are talking about XRP being worth like insane amounts of money, and like if you just look at the market cap, like if XRP is going to reach something like 10,000 and beyond, it's like the market cap would end up having to be more than the entire like global system. And like even right now, like Bitcoin has a much larger market cap. XRP, it's still up there, it's like number 4, but it's like still, just to get to where Bitcoin is, it would be at $21, which would be a ton of liquidity flowing in. But like to get to even greater market caps, like, to get to like, prices up in the multi thousands, just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, again, speculation, and I just don't love what Brad Garlinghose is doing. I don't love everything that has happened with XRP. So yeah, an interesting one to look at though. Overall, when it comes to cryptocurrency, again, I'm the biggest fan of Bitcoin. If you've ever read a great book, here's a great book to look at here. Instead of grabbing it, I'll just show you guys here on screen. But if you really want to know a lot about money, and you just really want to understand the history of money, I suggest looking at this book. It is the Bitcoin Standard. Bitcoin Standard, I believe it is. Yes, the Bitcoin Standard. So this is an amazing book that anyone that wants to learn more about money, and then the Federal Reserve and the history of money and how actually like currency started, fiat, everything like that. I love this book right here, the Bitcoin Standard. I feel like this taught me so much about Bitcoin. Well, I wish it would show the picture here. I thought it was going to show the picture. well, go back to here, the Bitcoin Standard. So I love this book because it talks about the actual fundamentals behind Bitcoin. And like so many other cryptocurrencies have a CEO, and then they have crazy dilution. The real Bitcoiners, the ones that really like look at the true fundamentals, are fans of Bitcoin because there's supposed to be a cap when it comes to the circulation, and it can't just be dumped out onto the public over and over and over. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to Bitcoin, because of the way it all works and everything, it's like, with time, more will be generated. But as we get closer to that cap, we're already seeing it right now, it gets harder and harder to generate. And as more of these Satoshis are bought, this should mean a higher price with time. And again, I am not a big fan of dilution like we were seeing in that penny stock earlier. And many great plays get beat up with dilution. That is why I have been talking so much about Robinhood stock, by the way, because, I believe this is a really great play. And when we do talk about dilution, this company is doing the complete opposite. So instead of, dumping constant shares onto the market, Robinhood actually has a big buyback program, and they are buying back more than $1 billion worth of stock. And I really like what this company is doing. They are generating a ton of revenue. I thought their last earnings report was actually tremendous. And I just feel like because of the market conditions that we are seeing right now, it still got beat up. Just like the rest of the market. A lot are correlating Robinhood with cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency is a little bit of Robinhood's business, but I feel that it is an unfair correlation with how much it has been beaten up, because it's just about I think 20% of the revenue they produce, if even that. Robinhood has 10 different companies within the company, or 10 different little sectors or ways to generate money, to say, and each one of those are generating more than 100 million. That was shown in this last quarter. Thank you. Great channel. Well, it is great because of everybody who participates and comes to the live streams that I plan on doing more often. Again, this is my second one in 2 weeks. But if there wasn't a viewership, if there wasn't a fan base, if there wasn't all of you who come to watch my channel, it's like I would be talking to an echo chamber. So I truly appreciate everybody who comes to this channel and shows engagement and watches, because I need to do some more to promote this channel, and I do have some big thoughts for the future with Green Money Momentum, but I've just been so busy with my business and life. But Green Money Momentum has a long way to go, but while we are still a small channel, less than 3,000 subscribers, a lot of you have been very loyal, and that has helped to keep this channel afloat. And also with all of your support, that also tells YouTube to help organically promote my videos, which is the main way I have been finding my subscribers, is just organic promotion. And so anytime you guys comment, anytime you guys like, subscribe, or share the channel, blessings. Thank you so much. I can't thank you all so much. When in doubt, follow Nancy Pelosi. I agree with that. If you want a solid strategy, just follow with the major politicians, because those are the insiders. The rest of us are playing a coin flipping game. We're doing a ton of technical analysis and fundamental analysis here, and it's great. And we're projecting what we could expect to see for this upcoming week. And usually when we do this, because we do look at the economic calendar and what's ahead, we can make some decently accurate positions, but it's not quite like if you're an insider like Nancy Pelosi. I would love to see a Nancy Pelosi live stream. That would be amazing. Dylan cracks me up. Yeah, I love Dylan too. Dylan actually really helped to influence me to start my channel. I was watching his videos back in 2024. Again, I've been watching tons of financial content for so long, but I came across Dylan's channel, and it finally sparked me to do this. I thought about it for many years in my 20s, but I've just been working my ass off for a lot of those years and building my portfolio, building my knowledge, and just, growing as an individual. And so I feel like everything has worked out perfectly. Again, I do believe that in the future, Green Money Momentum, we will rise up. Green Money Momentum family, we will get to 10,000 subscribers and beyond. But right now, we are still growing. Right now, mainly just an organic push from YouTube. And again, that's because of all of your support. And now, eventually, I will And I really need to do it, like the 10X rule book says, just implement the actions now. But I really need to do even more, exert even more effort. And that is the plan. Do more YouTube shorts, do even more videos, and do more live videos. And I mean, if you were enjoying this live stream, we're going to do many more lives in the future, especially when we are doing the live day trading. And I'm hoping that during that time, we can be flashing this beautiful championship belt all the time, seeing some massive returns, seeing some massive returns and saying, the champ is here, let's go, right? When we're making some big gains, when we're seeing some dopamine, when the blood is flowing, when the gains are going, woo! I cannot wait for that adrenaline, and we're going to be doing a lot of lives in the future. So I really hope that you are all enjoying this, because I love doing this. I mean, I've been sitting here for an hour and 20 minutes, and this has been the time of my life. I feel so alive when I do these lives, and you guys could tell I don't shut up. I could talk for 10 hours straight, all about finances, all about the Federal Reserve, all about Jerome Powell, all about Donald Trump, all about economics, macroeconomics, the smaller economics, just everything. It just really piques my interest, and that is why I started this YouTube channel a while back. And again, all of you help to really support this, so thank you all again. What about the other channel? So George, you have emailed me in the past. You are welcome to email me again, my friend. I would love to see another email from you, but because of the small amount of haters I have here on this channel, really not much, I just have a few, but with those small haters, I don't want to reveal my other channel because I don't want them to go after me. It is correlated with my business, but again, I am very dedicated to every single one of you, and I really want to grow this channel even more, and that is the intentions. And with my other channel, I'll show you something real quick, George, that I think is cool. So this right here, with my other channel. And again, George, if you really want to know more about this, please feel free to email me. And, I know you're a supporter of the channel, so I could show you this, but I actually have over 100,000 subscribers on my other YouTube channel. Man, look at how beautiful the chart looks with the YouTube silver play button right there. But no, my other YouTube channel has 100,000 plus subscribers. It is a totally different genre of content, but I am very dedicated to YouTube. I am uploading an endless amount of videos every single day here on Green Money Momentum and my other YouTube channel. And the other YouTube channel I have put more effort into. I'm on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and here on YouTube. But with this channel, I have mainly just stuck to the long form content with YouTube. But eventually I will implement that same amount of effort that I've put into my other YouTube channel, which again has reached over 100,000 subscribers, which is truly one of my greatest accomplishments ever, because, just like how I'm doing this here now, this is nothing new. I've actually been doing YouTube since I was about 8 years old. After YouTube got created in 2005, I was on the platform like shortly after that. And as a kid, I used to make a ton of videos about the WWE. And so just like I'm talking about finances here, I used to talk about the WWE as a kid. And I just have a big passion for YouTube. I love the connection that we all have, from myself to the audience that we have here. I think the internet is so amazing and is such a great way to connect with others. And I am all about networking. I'm always trying to meet as many individuals as possible. I'm a social butterfly, to say. So I love connecting with people in real life, and then also with the internet. And some of my best friends, that I've met in this life are from the internet. And give me just a second. I'm just gonna ignore this call. I will get back to that in just a second. Sorry, it's Relly. Oh, another typo. You had one last week, Doris. That's funny. Remedy, what is it? Remedy Global. That is funny. We had a typo last weekend too. That was funny. We still got 11 here. Thank you for everybody who's spending their Sunday with me. Drop in the comment section below where you are at right now in the world, whether you're in the United States, in a different country, what state you are in. I'd be curious to hear where everyone is checking in here, kind of what time it is where you're at. Right now here in Arizona, it is about 7 p.m. here, just 2 minutes to 7, so 6:58. Arizona, the markets, the stock market in the morning, the market open is at 7:30 a.m. But yes, please, everybody who is here, drop in the comment section below where you are at. What state or what country are you at currently? Trevor, what's going on with Rich Tech? Well, All Food Official, thank you for being here. I think this is the first chat we've seen from you, so thank you for coming to the live chat today. Again, I'll say what I've said to the other viewers that showed up later on. If you want to get my thoughts and opinions on everything with the stock market, what I expect for this week, just go back to the beginning of the stream, because the first 20 minutes was all about what we could expect to see this upcoming week with the stock market. With Rich Tech Robotics, this is a micro cap company, so still a lot of volatility associated with Rich Tech Robotics, and unfortunately in the short term we have seen some bleeding. So we did see this massive green candlestick when they did announce the partnership with Microsoft, which later we found to not be true. But one thing that was very unfortunate with Rich Tech is after this announcement, they took the opportunity to actually issue some more shares. And so there was some dilution. Oh, makes you want to cry when you see that with a small cap. I'm still very bullish with Rich Tech and with the whole robotics sector for 2026. But really, I hate to see an article that doesn't even end up being true, and then seeing a dump, really a pump and dump looks like what was orchestrated here. Again, I am still very bullish with Rich Tech. I have some contracts out to 2027, but with this small cap to micro cap sector of the markets, this is where there could be a lot of volatility, just like we recently saw with Rich Tech, and there could be volatility towards the upside. We have seen some massive pumps in Rich Tech, but also, unfortunately, to the downside. Now, I don't think this is so bad that Rich Tech can't recover. I still believe that there are a lot of enthusiastic investors with Rich Tech, and I do believe in the future of Rich Tech Robotics. I will be out in Las Vegas later this year, meeting one of my great friends from the United Kingdom. Again, the power of the internet. I'm going to be meeting my friend Martin from the United Kingdom. He's going to be coming out to Las Vegas, and we have met each other through the internet. So that is the amazing thing through the internet, just connecting with other individuals, connecting across the globe. And so we're going to meet out in Las Vegas, Nevada. And when we are there, I'm sure we will see a ton of Rich Tech's robotics out there. Rich Tech works with a lot of different of the service industry out in Las Vegas. They are at hotels, and also most notably, most recently, they started working with the Las Vegas Golden Knights, so the sports team for hockey out in Las Vegas. And so when it comes to the smaller, caps, when it comes to the micro caps, I like to see actual results, right? Like I like to see these companies, I like to actually be able to see what they are doing. Serve Robotics is another one out here in Tempe, Arizona. I do see some Serve Robotics robots going around delivering the food. With some small caps and micro caps, you just have to take these companies' words for what they are doing. And I don't always like that. So with Rich Tech, I do like that you could actually see what they are doing. They have had tremendous customer acquisition this last year, working a lot in Las Vegas. I do believe that 2026 could be a big year for robotics, but here in the short term, we must proceed with a bit of caution. Not only have we fallen on the candlestick chart, we are also well under the 200-day MA now, and we are dropping on the relative strength index with more price action possibly going towards the downside on the MACD. But like I'll say what I've said with all the other stocks that I was talking about earlier, when it comes to all of these different individual stocks, right now the markets are really being most sensitive around the macros, everything that is happening with the tariffs, the interest rates, and also the inflation, right? When it comes to the Federal Reserve, when it comes to some war concerns, tariff concerns, again, all of that, all of those factors, that is really influencing the markets currently. And so I think Rich Tech being such a small company, I do believe that if we will see positive price action once again, it's likely going to be with the rest of the markets. And if the bulls really take control of the markets in general, what will be really bullish for the markets is if we finally see these major indexes break out of these crazy levels of resistance that we have been facing since October. So a lot of gamma exposure with the options around that 7,000 price. With the S&P and the NASDAQ has been having an even harder time. And, we may continue to go sideways for some more time, or unfortunately, and hopefully not, see a breakdown. But that is the bearish case scenario. This is every bear's wet dream to see the stock market collapse. Every bear's wet dream is to not just see that, but they want to see that on the SPY, right? But I don't believe that will be the case, especially with what the Federal Reserve should be doing here in the near future. And if we really just look at history, a lot of pressure right now on the government, on the Federal Reserve. The markets are having a lot of pressure. And when it comes to moments where the markets could break down, well, typically this is where the Fed will step in. So I do believe that the Fed is going to pump more money into the system the way they hope to do it, predictably and with QE a long time, or possibly with a Fed put, or what has been known as a Powell put, but will soon be known as the Warsh put. And that is where the Fed comes in and does some very swift QE and cuts rates even more than expected. Most recently, we saw this, back in 2020. What are the plays for Iran war tariff instability? Many are looking at the oil sector. Also, earlier we were talking about the hard metals. And so just like the hard metals, I decided to wear a silver shirt today with a copper tie. And so, possibly look at gold, silver. Copper is still a lot smaller. There is, a lot of supply and demand with copper. But, the hard metals are an interesting sector to look at. Also, the oil stocks, I do believe those will move a lot slower. And if you're looking for some volatility and some things that can have some crazy run-ups, I still love the technology sector, and technology really mixed with the defense sector of the market. So like some of the ones that we were talking about earlier, one we have talked about multiple times on this stream is Ondas. ONDS is the ticker symbol, currently under $10. And this company has a lot to do with drones, and they also work with the United States military. And so they're a big one. We also have Big Bear AI, of course, one of the big blue chips in the market. Palantir, this is a huge one. Big Bear AI, I like for their face scan technology. They are all around the airports and an AI stock, but also very closely related to defense. And so you could not just go with all of that, but if you don't want to go with the individual stocks, you could take a look at like a defense ETF. So you have the Global X Defense Tech ETF right here, SHLD. Look at that. That is some pretty successful results with time. So if you were feeling a bit uncertain about certain individual stocks, just like I said in my last video on Friday, it's not a bad look to look into some of the index funds. And even, maybe even if you invest into some index funds, you may be a more loving person. I was seeing somebody say that online, that if you invest into the indexes, you could be a more loving person, because with all these individual stocks and the pressure that could be put on thyself to make correct predictions, or, to feel different ways with volatility, you may feel a bit more calm going into some ETFs. What long calls for Iran war and tariff plays? Again, kind of the same thing I just talked about. And you could go with some calls. And when it comes to the options contracts and calls, I personally love to buy my options when the markets are beat down. And in 2025, I saw my greatest return on investment when the markets were being thrashed leading up to April and Liberation Day, when so many were super bearish on the markets. That was when I decided to make my long calls. And oh my gosh, with that market turnaround, it was absolutely euphoric. So again, maybe you want to look at some oil plays, maybe just, play it safe with this index here that we have on screen. Look at Palantir, look at some Big Bear AI. The options contracts in Big Bear right now are pretty cheap with all of the retraction that we have seen. And I made a video, I think it was like 2024, maybe it was in 2025 at the beginning, but my options strategy, you could go to my YouTube channel and you could take a look here. Let's go take a look here at this video. Playlist, options contract investing. That getting ads on my own video, right? Making 100% returns with options, a strategy that changed my life. And right now, Big Bear is looking similar to how it was looking at this position. So let's let this ad run through real quick. But like, if you're looking for like a strategy that can provide like insane returns, like this is why I love Big Bear, for example, in the small caps. And like with what we're like recently seeing, like right now, the options chain is looking very similar to how it was looking during the time when I made this video. And that was when like the options were valued at so much less. So what I love with options, especially with small caps and things that have a great storyline, you could get into something that is under, you know, $1 when it comes to the ask price. And then when the stock really moves up, once you get to that spot of actual true intrinsic value, when you get through the break even price, every single dollar that the stock goes up, the options contract also goes up $1. And so if you are buying these options for less than $1 or right at $1, that is at least a 100% return on investment for every single dollar that that stock does go up. So if you're looking at the small caps, Big Bear is a great one. If you have some money to play with, take a look at Palantir. George, thank you as well. Houston, Texas. That is great, Norris. I've never been out to Houston. My brother has been out to Houston. I've never actually even been to Texas, but I would like to make my way out there sometime. You know, I've been to some neighboring states around me. I've been to Colorado. I've been to New Mexico. I've been to California a ton of times. Again, I'm out here in Arizona, but I haven't been to Texas, which really is not too far away from me. USA, Miami, right around 9 o'clock. Well, thank you for spending your time with us today, Henry. I appreciate you being here when it's a bit later. I know, you know, 9 o'clock, you may have to get to bed soon. So thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me. I love Florida. Now, I haven't been to Miami. I've been to, it's called, I think, Jupiter, Florida. Yeah, Jupiter, Florida, and Tampa Bay. I went out there in 2023. Beautiful place. One of my dreams is to eventually get out to Tampa Bay, man. When it comes to the market hours and when it comes to day trading, you know, it's not too horrible out here in Arizona. You know, the market's open at 7:30, and then during another time of the year at 6:30, and that's all because of daylight savings. But like out in Florida and the East Coast, I know it opens at 9:30 for you guys, and that sounds amazing because I love to do morning cardio. It's like, to me, one of the best things for the mind. So I love to wake up, hit a couple miles, sometimes as much as like 3 miles in the morning, but typically I'll do it on the treadmill, especially out here in Arizona where it gets so hot so early in the day. I know it does get hot and humid in Florida, but it's just like, oh man, running next to that beach and then doing some live day trading just sounds like an amazing time. Dallas, Texas. That's right, George. I remember you saying that when you emailed me sometime. Again, I want to come out to Dallas sometime. And you know, see the place. I know Dallas is a pretty poppin' place. Stephanie Diaz looks like she is from Germany. Well, thank you for joining us from across the globe. What is up, Green Money? What is up? Another day, another trade, my friend. Great to see you here. I know you are very into the markets yourself, so I appreciate you for being here today, sir. You were here at the last live stream that we did Sunday. I'll say to you exactly what I've said to everybody else today is like, yeah, if you want to get my thoughts and opinions on what we could expect for this upcoming week in the markets, just go back to the first 20-30 minutes of this live stream when it's all over, and we went over the economic calendar, everything that's happening with the Trump tariffs, and it's been a pretty eventful live stream altogether. So I thank again everybody who is here and showing engagement. Yonkers, New York. Hey, I love that, my friend. I've been to New York one time. This is a funny story if you guys want some comedy here. So I went out to New York on Christmas Day. I think this was Christmas Day 2023, right? And so anyway, I went out there on Christmas Day. This was just for a short time. It was just for a quick flight. I had a girlfriend that was traveling even further, so I just went on the layover flight to New York with her. And then when she went on her other flight, I decided I had a couple more hours before I was going to fly back to Arizona. Again, this is on Christmas Day, right? So I ended up, taking an Uber going down to downtown New York. I went out to Times Square. It was popping. There was so much going on, and there was those mascots. If you've never seen these mascots, I know you have, Art Von Hagen, because you're from New York. But if no one's ever seen these mascots, this is what they look like right here. So, and NY mascots, Times Square. So if you go out to Times Square, I think this happens most of the time, but I did that on Christmas Day, and so we had a whole bunch of different mascots out there. We had Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse. We had the Grinch, right? So all these mascots, right? And I'm a dumb tourist out there. I'm just having fun, right? And so anyway, all of a sudden, all these mascots want to take a picture with me, right? It's a total tourist trap. And so it's like the Grinch takes my phone, starts taking pictures with me. And then all these other mascots come. You have Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. Who else was there? I don't know, the Cookie Monster, maybe. There was a ton of different mascots. They all take all these pictures with me, right? I'm like having fun. I'm like, oh, it's Christmas Day. Cool. I got some pictures from New York. Right after taking those pictures, while the Grinch is still handing my phone, they like ambush me. They're like, oh, you got to give tips, tip, pay. This isn't for free. So I get my phone back. And I'm like, okay, hold up, guys. Hold up. They're like, money. Like, we need to get paid. We don't do this for free. I'm like, okay, I get it. So I like pull out my wallet, right? And I don't even know what I have in there. I think I have like $30, $40, maybe like a $20 bill and two, like, a 10, 2 5s, a 1 or something like that, right? So anyway, I'm going to pull out that money and I'm going to like hand them to each and every single like individual who just took those pictures with me. And then the Grinch just stole the money out of my hand, walked away, and then the rest of the mascots were like, where's my money? Hey, you can't just pay him. I also took a picture with you. And I'll never forget, Minnie Mouse was like, me. And I was like, oh my God. And literally I just ran away from that situation. So if you've ever been out to New York or one of these popular destinations for tourists, just be concerned, be cautious, be speculative, like they say, like I say, never trust anybody on Wall Street. Well, never trust anybody on Times Square either, because this individual right here, Mario, he may be looking innocent and nice, but he may be stealing your money. Same as Mr. Sonic here. Like, I get it, they're doing a service, but like they are so aggressive. If they just wanted a tip, that's fine, but the way they ambush you and it's such a tourist trap is absolutely insane. Yeah, East Coast, the 9:30 market open. I mean, that is amazing, my friend. I mean, it's so great because like the market's opening up here at 6:30 or 7:30 in Arizona. Again, it's not the worst thing in the morning, in the world, but just having that extra couple hours to 9:30 sounds like a great benefit. Being able to actually just wake up, enjoy maybe a little bit of coffee, go on a run, something like that. And oh my gosh, the timing here by Mr. Neximus Carito. Is that you right there? Is that you on the screen? You got the Mario profile pictures. Is that you? Are you out on Times Square, Neximus? Explain yourself for doing some tourist traps. All jokes aside, Neximus, great to see you here again, buddy. You were here last week for the live stream, so I appreciate you for being here once again. Have you heard of nanotechnology stocks? So I haven't really looked into any stocks with nanotechnology, but nanotechnology is extremely interesting. And we talk about nanobots and everything like that. I mean, it's actually a little creepy how that could be. I mean, we all maybe have eaten nanobots in our lifetime. We really don't know, but nanobots are insane. I remember a while back I was looking at like a stock that was a nanotechnology stock, but really I don't look into nanotechnology, and I don't know. I mean, it could be very useful. I hear nanotechnology can go through the body and discover things and all that. It's just, I don't really get too much into the healthcare stocks in general. When it comes to volatility, I noticed there is just like too much volatility in that sector for me. I really don't like how with healthcare, so many times there are things that need to go through FDA approval, and so often they get rejected, and then we see massive drops in the prices for these different healthcare stocks. And I mean, nanotechnology, I'm sure a lot of nanotech could be with healthcare and having to get approved. But recently there was the interesting announcement that with healthcare and all that, let's take a look here just to get the exact information here. They were talking about no longer needing to do 2 tests to get your drug approved, but just 1 test. Right now, when it comes to the healthcare sector and different drugs, you have to go through 2 stages of approval. Basically, prove yourself to the government twice, but now you apparently only need to prove yourself once. And so before, it's like, you could get approved by the government once. They say that your test was a positive, but then you had to go through a second layer of testing, but now apparently it's only one. Basically, Trump saying that if it works once, it should work going forward. Interesting take. I don't know how to feel about that when it comes to healthcare and all that stuff. I just try to stay natural myself. Just try to eat as many great foods as possible. I mean, we live in a society now where so many foods may just be 3D printed or GMO. I mean, it's really crazy what's in the environment. When you think about us as humans, we are like cockroaches with what we consume, with all the energy drinks out there, with all the microplastics in the hot dogs, with all the smog in the air. Humans are strong like cockroaches, but like still, I don't know how to feel about this because, when it comes to these healthcare companies, if they got approved the first time and they don't get approved the second time, well, maybe that shows something about the drug that, needs to be discovered before it reaches the consumer. But drop a comment in the live there. Let me know what you think about that. Yeah, very interesting altogether on that. Oh, it's been a lot of fun, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here again. This is a great time. Hood and Palantir unfairly beat up since earnings. I agree with you, Art Vaughn. I think Robinhood is a tremendous stock. They have continued to prove great results. They are continuing to innovate. One of my favorite growth companies in the market right now. Same to be said with Palantir. They are also a tremendous company. They are constantly earning more revenue. And, with Palantir, I've said this so many times, you could even say, I know they're like a company working with the government, but damn near they are the government. I mean, the government relies so heavy on them. You could basically say that they are a government organization. So I do expect for Palantir to be a lot higher in the future. And I absolutely agree with you. Palantir has been beat up a little bit unfair in the short term. Now, I know some bears could say, well, the price to earnings is so high in Palantir. And actually, it's a good thing in a sense that Palantir has dropped because that does help to bring the numbers a bit more down to earth. But even with some of the overvaluation to say the price beating the actual earnings here in the short term, that is for the reason that investors are really looking at the future and the future growth potential with Palantir. So it's crazy to even see right now that Palantir is at $130, considering at one point Palantir got all the way, I believe, to 220. And to start here in the overnight market, we have seen a gap down in Palantir. Now, this is just the overnight market. Again, I've said many times through the stream, the main movements we're really going to know as soon as the markets have their official bell opening tomorrow. So, I mean, with the overnight market, I really don't put too much thought into it, whether it drops or jumps to, start the overnight, because many times you can see a red overnight market, a red futures market, and then the markets are super green, or vice versa. Sometimes you see green to green, sometimes you see red to green, but really it could be red or red to red, green to green, green to red, red to green. It's a coin flipping game. It can really be anything at the end of the day, but I don't really put too much thought into the overnight market. March 1, silver will run. Stephanie Diaz, why do you believe that silver will run on March 1st? We did cover silver earlier in the stream. Yeah. Narissa, when you started investing, did you make stupid mistakes? I've been in this for a year and my mess ups get me down. LOL. Norris, I think I called you Narissa again. My bad on that. But Norris, we've all made mistakes, but don't call them stupid mistakes, because it's only a stupid mistake if you don't learn from that mistake. Mistakes are opportunities to learn and to better ourselves. And as long as you make a mistake and you are aware that you have made this mistake and you better yourself and improve yourself as an investor or as an individual in the future, well, it's not really a stupid mistake. It's just you're human and you've made a mistake. Now, it becomes a stupid mistake if you keep making that mistake over and over and you don't, try to learn from it, and you are aware that you are making those mistakes, but you are beating yourself up. Like a common one is investors who heavily over leverage themselves, and then every single time that the markets drop, they get margin called, right? That in itself is not a positive. That is something that is a mistake once, twice, but eventually you really need to learn. And that's where the 6 golden trading rules come into play, of having proper risk management, never over leveraging, never letting just one day destroy yourself in the markets. Okay, everybody, we got a hater here. All right, bring in some juice to the live stream, some action. I hate how this guy explains stocks. It's like he only does this for fun. Well, Wild Things Dirty, I do this for fun. This is a passion of mine. I love coming on here, and I have a ton of fun. I like your Guy Fieri picture there. That's funny in itself. Sad emoji. Explain leveraging your portfolio to these strips. You are so funny. Never use money you don't want to lose, period. End of sentence. Finn, hey, that is a golden trading rule. I do agree with you, Wild Things Dirty, on that. That's so dumb. I hate these types of scams. My goodness, 2 in a row. We've had positive action all night in the live here, but some of these haters coming out and about Rusty Spoon. That's so dumb. I hate these types of scams. What is a scam here, Mr. Rusty Spoon? I would love to know your take on that. You have to watch Elmo. He will touch your girlfriend and then ask for tips. Damn right. Seriously, they are aggressive. I mean, when it comes to tourist scams, not just in New York, but anywhere. If you go, out of country or just any, big tourist destination, I see it all the time on YouTube. These tourist traps, man, it's absolutely insane. It's wild what these people get away with, and it's crazy how they're so aggressive. It's truly a shame. That's a cool belt. I appreciate that. Green money momentum. Boom, let's go. The champ is here. The never seen 17x return market masters with green money momentum. I want to buy my son one for WrestleMania. Well, I got this as a gift for my birthday, so I don't actually know where this belt came from. But hey, you can always purchase some type of replica belt somewhere. And yeah, I love the belts. I was a big fan of the WWE growing up. It's funny, I don't really watch the WWE now, but a lot of it still pops up on my Facebook timeline. So I still am kind of in tune with the WWE, but it was a big part of me growing up. And again, like it's beautiful doing green money momentum now, because as a kid, I made a ton of videos just talking to the camera like I am doing now. I even did live streams as a kid. It wasn't on YouTube because YouTube streaming wasn't back then. It was on some like other website. Like, dude, I date back. I age back, man. This was before Twitch and before the era of live streaming. So I did it on some random website, but I did do live streams as a kid, made a ton of WWE videos, and that was my thing. My favorite superstar back then was what's his name? Rey Mysterio. Cave Creek, Arizona, nice place. Art Von, I think you might have already answered this. I think you said New York, but are you replying to the question about where do the investors in this stream live at? Are you saying you live in Cave Creek? I think you said New York. Or are you just saying that Cave Creek is a nice place? Is this a place you have visited? Because yes, I agree. Cave Creek, North Scottsdale, that whole northern side of the valley is a very beautiful place. Market is open 24/7 if you're rich. Hey, that's true. If you own a McDonald's, you're constantly on the clock, constantly making money. Nano is the future. I would double your position at another day. Your stream went down, or the internet here in Cape Town. Okay, well, hey, Neximus, you have returned back. I'm not sure where Cape Town is. Hello, Nexum. Hey, again, Norris, thank you for welcoming the other streamers. You're no help. Stop lying to these people. Wild Things Dirty, what have I lied about? I would love to know what you think I lie about. I think Wild Things Dirty here is just trying to get a reaction out of me, just trolling in the live stream. And hey, I get that, my friend. I love to troll. I've been a troll also many times on the internet. You're probably all excited that right now I'm addressing you here on the screen. You're getting a little bit of a thrill, but Mr. Wild Things Dirty, if you are a Mr., I am not gonna let you put me in a state of being emotionally compromised, right? Like if you're trying to troll the stream, you're welcome to say whatever you want. But if you're going to try to get a rise out of me, my friend, that is just not going to happen. Got to go, folks. Have a good week. Hey, George, thank you so much for attending the live today. We are going a bit over time from what I expected, just like last week. It was so funny. Last week when I did my live stream, I was just testing out the software, just doing 5 minutes, and then it ended ended up being 2 hours just like today is. And so this video was just for what to expect for the markets this week, but we have had a ton of engagement, having a ton of fun. I love doing this. So thank you for everybody who is having me stay over here, because it's all of you that are keeping this going, and I love the engagement. But George, thank you so much for being here. And even myself, I will probably tune out here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. It's funny, I said that almost like an hour ago now, but hi-yo. Bye, George. Yep. Bye, George. Take care. Have a great day. Thank God. Yes, you should always thank God. You should always count your blessings. Why are you such a hater? Okay. We're having some argument here. Those costume people are a trap. I agree. It can happen to anybody. I mean, we just got to be more aware with time, just like making mistakes. I'll never make the mistake of getting trapped by one of those tourist scams again. I learned my lesson. So at the time, I wouldn't say I was dumb, but I was ignorant to what New York was and what those people would do. I can't believe you guys would give anyone money. I just subscribed to you. You're OGGMM. I appreciate you, my friend. You're just like my father. He uses Google Chrome to research. Go hit the books. Hey, Wild Things Dirty, go back in the live stream. We were hitting the books earlier today. Wild Thing Guy, he doesn't ask for money. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you saying that, Norris. Yeah, we're just doing this for the love of the game, not looking to extrapolate anything from the audience, not looking for anything from you guys, just your loyal viewership, which so many of you are here for. He does review books, wild, and read a few. I try to read more than a few. I try to read as much as possible. Always trying to do as much research as possible. Wild Thing Guy, you missed seeing the book collection. Yeah, go back sometime in the live stream, and even go back to last week's live stream, because we were talking about some other books and everything like that. Well, guys, I greatly appreciate all the support today. I'm starting to fizzle out a little bit myself. We've been on here for 2 hours now. If you missed a lot of the live stream, or you just came into the live stream, feel free to go back to the beginning, especially the first 20 to 30 minutes of the live stream, because that was when it was most packed with the data. Then we saw the overnight market open. We did see a gap down, and we have seen a retraction in most plays to start the trading session for this week. In the overnight market, including both of the major indexes, are down to start the trading for Monday. But the first 20 to 30 minutes really packed with a ton of data. After that, we start talking about some different individual stocks. So if you want to see some breakdown on some different individual stocks, we went through a plethora of stocks. And otherwise, we've just been having some fun in this live chat. But for the most part, I've said about everything I need to say now. We'll just get through the rest of these chats here. Doesn't look like we have too much. I'll tune in next time. Time to go to sleep. I agree, Wild Things Dirty. I'm not going to go to bed myself. I may be hitting the gym or doing something fun here. But this was a great time here on the chat. So for everybody who was here, I love doing this. I do plan on going live every single Sunday from here on out, doing the weekly preparation videos on Sunday. So if you are interested to see what the market should if you're interested to see what the markets may do for the week and just see the economic calendar and what the news is in the air, every single Sunday I am planning on doing these. I've been doing the videos for a long time, but now doing the live streams on Sunday. Otherwise, we do a video every single day. We do the daily talk of stocks. So all of that, we will be back most likely next Sunday. I love stocks too. That's why I talk about them. Thank you, Green Mo. Tomorrow, I will buy $2,000 worth of nanotech. Well, good night, my friend. Maybe you can buy some nanotechnology that can help you sleep at night, right? Maybe your melatonin will have some nanotech within them. I look into nanotech. Thanks, Wild Guy. He is a wild guy, isn't he? He has Guy Fieri as as his profile picture. Thank you, Mr. Green Money. Thank you. I'm gonna run my timer here. We're gonna do 30 more seconds on this live stream. If you guys have anything else to say, drop it right now because we're about to head off here. But guys, thank you so much for being a part of the live again today. I have so much fun doing this. This is one of my passions in life. It was another successful live. I am planning on doing these most Sundays as long as I am able to make the time for it. Stephanie Diaz, you were here for most of the stream, and same to you as Narissa. So thank you too. At the very beginning of the stream, it was just you two who were here. And I agree. We will win. Oh, gotta turn that around. We will win. The champ is here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. I can't wait till the adrenaline and the money starts flowing in the markets again. It's going to be so exciting. Absolutely. You forgot your merchandise. Now, I got my merchandise right here, Norris. And maybe we'll have some merchandise in the very near future. You know, I'll show this real quick. This is one of my favorite hats. Beautiful little hat right here. This is what we want the markets to do, right? We want to have a crazy euphoric uptick like that. I love this hat right here. I love my Robin Hood shirts. I love my stock market hat. I love my buy the dip hat. And I love this nice trophy here. And I love the markets. And I love every single one of you for being a part of the Green Money Momentum family. So thank you all so much. Yep, we're going to try on Sunday. With that being said, I am now going to sign out. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Again, if you didn't catch the beginning, go back to the beginning to get my thoughts on what this upcoming week will look like. And I wish you all the best for the markets going forward. This is Trevor with Green Money Momentum signing out. Thank you so much and have a great night.